Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Welcome to another edition of the Vegas Squares podcast, sitting here in the virtual Zoom studio. And it is middle of the week. It means the golf podcasts are back. It's been, to use an old dad joke, we haven't done one since last year.
Nice.
But we're back. We skipped the Hawaii portion of the PGA Tour this year, but we're still on the West Coast swing with the Farmers Insurance Open from one of my favorite courses, not only to walk, but I was fortunate ones to play it as well. I will tell you this, as an amateur golfer, the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines. Torrey Pines, the South Course, is one of the most deceptively hard courses because I'm not a great golfer. You all have seen that. And I walked onto that course and said, I think I can tame this. And boy, I was dead fucking wrong.
Wow.
But it's so deceptively easy looking. And I know that that's kind of a cop-out, really, but have you guys ever had an experience with Torrey Pines and just that area? I mean, it's a beautiful area. I know, Tony, I know you have.
Yeah. Yeah, I played there a bunch of times, and I've walked the course too. Did a couple of junior clinics back when I was in the golf industry too. So yeah, I'm pretty familiar actually with both courses, although I've never actually played the North. I played the South 4 or 5 times. I did not have that attitude though, like you did. I did not think it was easily tameable. It just feels so tight and constricted in so many different spots. And I'm not a very long hitter. And one of the rounds I played, we played from the back, from the tips, and it was just brutal. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You know, it was just, you have to have every facet of your game on, especially long iron play, which is actually probably the worst part of my game.
Gentlemen, I have a quick question for both of you. Was the rough up whenever you both were there? Because I know just watching it on TV and then the U.S. Open and whatnot, whenever the rough is up there, it makes it considerably longer and considerably harder. So I'm interested just on a daily basis how they generally cut the rough.
Yeah, I played it 3 weeks after the Farmers, and they still left it up, and it wasn't really maintained. I would say it was probably 3.5, 4 inches, and I spent a lot of the day hacking at it.
Yeah, no, I think they try to maintain it around 2.5 to 3 inches the whole time. This course, I believe, plays about how it plays for the public. In this tournament, obviously in the U.S. Open, they make some changes, but I think for this tournament, it's about how it is. I know they try to keep it about 11.5 on the stimp too, which is exactly how it plays on the tournament. So I think it's about the same. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I was fooled by it, but Tony, you could see my thought process there. Yeah, a lot of straight holes, a lot of straight holes, a lot of, as long as you look at it, you say, okay, if the wind's calm, I can hit a shot. I should have no problem. Yeah, easy.
Yeah. I agree with you. You're right. It is kind of in front of you. There's not a lot of blind shots, not an overly, high amount of water or, harsh, penalty type of spots. I'm with you there, Aaron. That actually makes a lot of sense. You explaining it like that. And it really depends on the length can really make this course either, I think, very doable, more so in the sense if you play from more of the forward tees to, if you don't have it that day and you're playing from the back, it's just, you have zero chance.
That's fair. I can't say I played from the back. That's true too. So that might have made my day. But to just be on a course that guys like Tiger have stepped on and obviously others. The what do you call it? The defending champion now, Mark Leishman. I told you he's helped my game out a lot. Just listening to him. So, anyways, let's move into this Farmers. We haven't done anything since last year. Ha ha hee hee. But Token, I know that you've been betting golf even despite the lack of podcasts.
Yeah, and it's been going all right. Last week with my picks, I went 3 out of 4, which was pretty solid. The only one I missed was Noren over Gooch.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I will say this before we get into this Farmers Insurance podcast. I know that the Corn Ferry, we're all excited. The Corn Ferry coming here to Paiute, one of our favorite courses. We're hoping, fingers crossed, that there will be fans in the stands. If there are, I'm thinking we make a little vlog out of this. And we've got a buddy who's maybe try to Monday qualify at the thing. I'm taking him out. I've taken him out to the course twice now to play some of the Monday qualifying. So fingers crossed on that. We'll keep you updated. But all right, so let's talk about the Farmers Insurance Open here. It's traditionally, again, part of the West Coast swing here. A lot of players will play it. I know that you know, Tony, you mentioned at Dubai. Right now, some of the guys are over there. But what are your just initial thoughts of the Farmers Insurance Open? I know that, like you, Tony, are not a huge early season golf bettor. So when do you really get started? Is it this one?
This is basically right about the time. Maybe it might be Riviera, so it could have been last week. Just the way the football season has kind of come about, and with how at least my betting has evolved and changed as I get into a couple other sports, it just wasn't in the cards until this week. So yeah, this is about the time, just because I know these courses and this type of golf better than some of the other stuff. So. That's usually about this time, but I try to slowly get into it because, again, we have guys that are coming off of a long layoff, pretty much everybody off of a long layoff. So you kind of want to see, and for me, I want to see and watch, the different tournaments and see how guys are doing, what they've done differently. I feel like you can learn quite a bit as we get into that time, especially when they go to the Florida swing too, right before the Masters. I think that's really where I think the bigger, at least for me, the bigger bets, and I think the better knowledge has been going into there.
All right, and John, what are you looking at early here in the early season? Who's standing out to you so far?
So obviously the two guys that have been a machine. I like a couple of different bets on both of them. Is Finau and English. Those two, behind maybe Rahm and maybe Rory are two of the favorites, which is unfamiliar position for both of them. However, particularly Harris English, this guy, I don't know, we talked about him a little bit last year, and I've been riding his coattails a little bit in matchups and whatnot. And Finau, I have him here, 17-1 on DraftKings this week, my top bracket, as a guy that he's only won once, I believe, on tour. However, he's just one of those guys that is going to be up there in the leaderboard and give himself a shot. He hasn't come through as well as we thought on Sunday, like we think he has been since we saw him early on the big break a long time ago with his brother. But I really feel this year could be a big year for him.
Yeah, you kind of hit it on the head there. Tony Finau has had the 54-hole lead in 4 events, and he is unfortunately 0 for 4 in closing the door there. So, Absolutely. But you know what? Like you said, he's a guy that's going to be there. So we're going to go ahead.
They talk about it all the time on tour, guys, and excuse me for interrupting, but they talk about it all the time on tour. There's some guys that come out and they win their first year and they start rolling, maybe a guy like Morikawa, someone like that. But a lot of the guys, have it's taken them a little bit to start winning on Sundays. And now I think, that 5th time he gets in the hunt, I like him to come through with the win.
Yeah, and the other big debate, I know that this is kind of a home game for him, and I know this is your boy, Tony. I think there's a lot of public action this week on Xander Schauffele. So I know that there's a lot of articles out. I've been reading up on him, and you have to just kind of wonder, he's the guy that keeps just knocking right there on the door.
Just not in this event, though. He's only 1 for 5 making cuts in this event. And I think there's something to be said about the elevated level of pressure that he must feel, playing in this thing, because it seems like every other very hard tournament, with a difficult course, difficult conditions, he seems to thrive on pretty much everywhere, no matter what type of conditions, no matter the grass, no matter anything. So I'm guessing there's something to be said for that. So until that gets ironed out a little bit, and again, he grew up in La Jolla, right there. I don't know if he played the course all that often, but I'm going to pass until I was not one of the people that helped bring that line down from 14 to 12 or 10 or whatever it is now. I'm going to pass until he starts to play a lot better, at least in this event. It's just, to me, there's too many other good options, I think.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. And another thing I've noticed, I don't know, you guys are more in tune to this than me, Tony and John, but they're not playing all 4 rounds on the same course.
Yeah, that's how it's set up.
Tony?
Yeah, no, I mean, either way. So Thursday and Friday, you play the North Course once and the South Course another time. And then on the weekend, you go back to the South Course for both rounds. I think it's been like that for a while, at least as long as I can remember. John, if you have more knowledge, I don't know. As long as I can remember.
It's as long as I can remember too.
Okay.
But don't we find that, isn't that a little odd? That I don't know why they don't go 2 and 2. Where you just play, everybody plays the North Course on Saturday and the South Course on Sunday. It's just odd to me that they do that in these tournaments. What is it? I guess at Pebble, you're playing Monterey Peninsula and I think Spyglass, and then you play Pebble twice. But it seems odd to me where you're playing one course 3 times and then another course once. I know that's the championship course, but I like them both. I've never played them, but as far as TV goes, it's just that classic municipal feel, tight fairways, trees sparingly across both courses, and I like them both. I wish they would double up on the North Course.
Right on. And as Tony said, Token, the U.S. Open will be here in June. It'll look a little bit different, but obviously they're not going to change too much of the actual design of the course. But what can we expect? So at the end, when you're sitting there, the winner's holding the trophy on Sunday, how can we use that knowledge of everything that happened over 4 days to handicap the U.S. Open coming up here in June?
My biggest concern from the Farmers to the U.S. Open, how much stronger the field's going to be, but how much in terms of difference, like around the green it will be, as well as putting. Of course, they're going to probably make the speed a little quicker on U.S. Open and making the rough around the greens probably half an inch to a full inch taller. So it's just going to, if that person is really good at scrambling and pretty decent at putting, then I like them for a run for the U.S. Open, but it's going to be a tough to defend the title from the Farmers to the U.S. Open with how much stronger the field's going to be in that one.
Okay.
I just wonder if they're – excuse me, Aaron. I just wonder if they're going to get dirty in the U.S. Open and just, with little water they have on the course. You remember in Pebble Beach, I think it was when McDowell won, they had it shaved down around the edges. And that's what I like watching in the U.S. Open. I wish at the water hazards and even the sand traps maybe to where they don't grow up the rough, and then they grow up the rough around the greens where there's no water hazards. It's an interesting thought. I just like it to where the PGA Tour just gets a little dirty for that tournament and makes it
how diabolical USGA is.
It was really hard like 12 years ago when they hosted in 2008. It was very, very difficult. There were a lot of shaved off areas, as you just pointed out. It was hard. I think I'm pretty sure that was the one that Woods beat Mediate, and that was what, 1 under, 2 under, something like that. The scores were brutal. Yeah, it's gonna be really, really hard. I don't think there's any question about that.
It was really brown on that 18th hole on Sunday, wasn't it?
That's
everybody
right.
I remember that shot. That green was just really brown and firm and fast, and I'm sure it was just about it the next day. Which if the wind gets up, it's nasty.
That was the one leg U.S. Open, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's the one. And then he had to play, 22 holes the next day as well. It was crazy.
Something like that, yeah. So, all right. So we've talked about the course a little bit. We've talked about our memories on the course. But to give you a bigger inside look, as we do every time, Tony's going to give us a little outline here. So, Tony, for the first time in 2021, give us a little course outline on that Torrey Pines. I know they're going to play 2 courses, so you might have a long-winded one here.
That's true, but it's the easiest one I might even do, though, if you take a look at it, because I've actually have some knowledge, so it's nice to have, I've actually been there. Sometimes doing it from afar can be a little more difficult. But, the interesting thing, we've talked about these 2 courses, they don't really have a lot of similarities to them, which is really sort of fascinating. I'm with John. I think it would be kind of fun if they did play a couple of rounds in the North Course. But we're going to see some very big score differences here on Thursday and Friday like we usually do. The North Course is not only extremely much shorter, but it's very gettable, and it's set up that way, absolutely intentionally too. So the differences here, I'm going to go through those pretty quickly here. The North Course, both par 72s, but the North Course is about 7,250 yards. South Course will play about 7,700 yards. Both will have 3-inch rough, but the greens are much larger in the North Course, about 1,000 square feet larger, and they're going to run about 10.5 on the stimp is what it came through on the tournament website versus 11.5 on the South normally. So we're going to see a really big dichotomy here between these two different courses, and I think it's imperative, and it has shown that over the last couple of years, both with Mark Leishman and Justin Rose and even Jason Day before that you have to score your day on that course, whether it's Thursday or Friday. Your day, you have to score low on the North, because if you don't, you're going to lose way too many shots, not only to the field but to the eventual winner, who will on average has scored 6.5 under par in the last 4 times, the last 4 winners here. It's just you have to get at it. So, I think that's really important. And weather's going to come into a factor. But let's go through the courses at least a little bit. The South, which we'll see 3 out of the 4 rounds, extremely narrow. We've talked about that. 25-yard wide fairways on average, and it actually tapers in as you go a little bit longer. So the long hitters are not necessarily at a strong advantage off the tee. We'll see it maybe in other spots where they do have an advantage, but off the tee, it tapers in. In fact, the average spot from 350 yards out off the tee is only 23 yards wide on these fairways. So it doesn't necessarily behoove you to be able to hit the ball longer per se, unless you are incredibly accurate. It just feels very closed in at times. And again, I'm just speaking on that from my own experience. The trees can be very, very hard to navigate around. Around this time of the year, they're not going to be as full that we'll see in the U.S. Open. So I think one of the main differences, besides the rough and some of the other things, is the U.S. Open time. It's going to be, these trees are going to be very, very full of leaves and everything like that, and all the liveliness there. I think it's going to be a little bit easier this time, and they just showed some pictures from the course a little bit earlier, a few days ago. I looked at it. It's a little bit more bare than normal times. So that taking into account, the back 9, since that renovation a couple of years ago in preparation for this upcoming U.S. Open, they've made it even harder. So 3 holes have been lengthened. There is no more easy birdie hole on 10, which was basically like 3-wood wedge in. That's no longer the case. So there's a big cross bunker that's going to go all the way across, that will eat up a lot of long 3-woods to shorter driver type of hitters. So there will be some guys that are going to try to drive over that bunker. But if you do miss, especially if you miss right on 10, you have that basically fence line with those like long bushes that go down to the green, and there's just OB. It's OB paradise if you miss only by a little bit. So one of the things that we do see on this course that not a lot of others is they do use Kikuyu grass in the rough, which is really, really spongy and very, very thick. And hitting out of this rough just makes it incredibly hard to hold greens. The Kikuyu is on both courses, but it tends to be a little bit thicker and a little bit more lush on the South course. They do use a little bit more water leading into the tournament for that exact factor. But again, long and tough. We talked about this. There are 7 holes that are 450 yards or longer, par 4 wise. All 4 of the par 5s are 560 plus. Only a couple of those are really, actually reachable, and 2 others are just extremely difficult nowadays, especially that 18th, which there's just not a lot of players. It's a small handful of field that can really get there in 2 on a regular basis. And then lastly, greens are POA on the South course. They are bent actually on the North course. Another kind of really strange difference between the two. And POA greens are just really, really rare nowadays on the PGA Tour. In fact, a lot of the players I think are very unfamiliar with POA, unless you've grown up in California or maybe a little bit further up west, and way up in the Northeast as well, as where POA can also grow, New York and that type of area. So other courses where POA greens are seen is we just saw it here at Riviera, also Pebble Beach, and Bethpage Black has POA. No other course that they play on a regular basis, and even Bethpage isn't played on a regular basis, has POA greens. So I do think there's a strong advantage to players that have grown up here on this type of grass. Also, Australians on the eastern coast of Australia, they do have a lot of POA grass there as well. Mark Leishman talked about that after his win, about how he grew up on this type of course, and Kikuyu is really common there as well. So lastly, getting into the weather here, Thursday it should be very good. Morning calm winds, that would be the time to tee off. Friday is going to be the issue. Not only will there be some potentially heavy rain on Friday, but also a lot of wind into the morning. Taper off towards the end in the afternoon, but to me this is a big dichotomy of tee times here. I am looking for guys that are playing early on Thursday and late on Friday. In fact, it is a deal breaker. If it's the other way around, if it's a late Thursday, early Friday, that's a deal breaker for me, especially if they're playing on the North course on Friday. Because again, I want the easiest conditions on the North course. We can go extremely low and gain some shots on the field. So I am very, very set in tee times, and after they opened, I took very strong look at that. So, again, that's kind of where we stand in these two courses, and I think it should be a lot of fun. That's there'll be some low scores, I think, at times, but overall, we're going to see some struggling out there, and maybe not like we'll see in this upcoming June, but it's a well-earned victory here at the Farmers every year.
Right on. Tony, you never disappoint with the course outlines. You got 2 courses this week, and it's still you just firing on all cylinders. You never missed a beat, man.
I love the Western Australia, or was it Eastern Australia or Western Australia? I love that.
Eastern, yeah.
Kikuyu sounds like an Australian name as is, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, Leishman talked about that for a couple of minutes in his post-winning interview about how he just is so comfortable at this course, and a lot of the Australians are, including Adam Scott too.
Fair enough. All right, so we're going to move forward into the bets, but before we do, we have to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back on the other side. Again, the Farmers Insurance Open from Torrey Pines. We're going to pay some bills here real quick. Give us about 2 minutes, then we'll be back with those picks.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
All right, and we're back. It is the Farmers Insurance Open preview show here for the Vegas Squares podcast. Again, myself, Token Tony, John Parr, and Tony Johnson, all of us here in the virtual Zoom studio. You can't see it because it's an audio podcast, but John, I love the captain's hat.
Yeah, got it for my 40th birthday a couple weeks ago, and that just goes to show you don't got to put a lot of money into a gift. It's just all about the thought.
There you go, right on. And Tony Johnson there with his patented Chicago Bears.
Well, at least through the football season, yes. We'll let it go.
That's true. All right, so without further ado, let's get into these picks. As we do, we are going to start with future bets. And the favorite is Jon Rahm, followed by that aforementioned Xander Schauffele at 9-1. Jon Rahm 8-1. We got Rory, Finau, all the way down. We're going to break this down into 2 sections. Anybody that's under 100 to 1, it's going to be in the first section. Anybody in the triple digits, we consider those the long shots, or as Token Tony likes to call them, the basement dwellers.
I love that. I do.
So, Token Tony, let's find some futures here in this first group.
I only have one on the less than 100 to 1 range, and that's Francisco Molinari at 65-1.
Oh, short and sweet. He's back, boys. Francesco Molinari. Haven't heard that name in a while. So, all right, Mr. Parr, what do we got here?
As I mentioned, I got Finau at 17-1 for all the reasons before, and what I got a couple more in here. All 6 of his starts here are top 25s. He's 2 out of 3 with the top 5 and a top 10 the last 3 starts. He's just been a machine. He just needs to learn how to win, and I think it's about time he does that. Secondly, I got my boy from Pensacola, Milton, Florida, Bubba Watson. He's slow. He's lurking. He hasn't had a missed cut since June, and when I saw that, I was sort of amazed because he tends to miss cuts in bunches, and it's one of those things where he's played really good on this course. He's got a win. He's got 2 top 10s and 2 top 25s in his last 5 starts on this particular course. to where, you know, he knows how to work it around those dog legs, as Tony said. But it's just one of those times where when Bubba hasn't missed a cut in this long, you know he's going to be around, and hopefully he comes through. That's at 50 to 1 on DraftKings. And then here, I'll just go ahead and throw my last one in here before the matchups. But I love English. Like I said, I'm going to ride him this year. I love him for a top 10 at plus 250. He had his typical stumble last week after the win at the Tournament of Champions, you know, with the T32, which isn't like a miscut or anything like that. But going back to his last 11 events, he has 6 top 10s. So that's an over 50% success rate in his last 11 starts. But like I said, I'm going to be looking to ride him this year, just like Token's been riding Abraham Answer.
Fair
Which
point.
hey, good finish last week. Good finish last week. He had a decent Sunday.
All right, Tony, what you got, brother?
Yeah, so in this early spot here, that's kind of where the majority of the work is done, at least for me in this tournament. It's hard to take a long shot, I think, in this tournament, not just because, you know, of the field and the top end quality of the field is really high. It's just I think there's a lot of guys that don't really have much of a chance. I think the course dictates having to play 3 rounds on the South course. Really dictates the fact that if you do not have, you know, a really strong long iron game, or you really aren't that long of a hitter, it's nearly impossible to make up all these shots. You just have to play completely and utterly lights out, you know, these 3 rounds especially. And there's just too much. It's too much to overtake. So I'm going to focus really on this part, but I don't have anybody near the top. Again, the only guy I might have been a little bit interested in was Jon Rahm, but with this injury that has plagued him now over the last few weeks, and I know he missed last week, and the thought was that he might not even get in and play this week, but he is giving it a go. So, you know, 8 or 9 to 1, I just don't think it's good enough. So I decided to pass on Rahm here, although you know, that number really isn't that bad for a guy that may be one of the best players in the world playing, you know, his best golf around this time. But I'm a little bit lower than that, so I started out with Brooks Koepka. I know we find him here around that 30 to 35 to 1 range. I did get him at 42 a little bit earlier in the week. Brooks just split with his longtime swing coach, Claude Harmon, and you know, sometimes that can work either really, really well or really, really poorly, depending on how it is. I know it was a very amicable split, and they've talked about how, you know, they intend to remain friends and, you know, still be generally close. He's just kind of going a different direction with his swing. But sometimes that can be kind of a little bit of a breath of fresh air too. You know, a new set of eyes. I know he's already working with another guy. And, you know, there might be something to that early on. It could also work, you know, not in a positive way. But this course should fit Brooks exactly what he does well. And again, if you're getting anything in the 40 to 1 range, the guy of this skill and his caliber, I just think it's too tough to pass up. Another one that I already bet is Matthew Wolff. Got him at 35 to 1. I'm not so sure about this grass and how it'll fit with what he does. He just has no experience at all on POA greens. But again, the fit and what he can do with a long iron and how long and accurate he is. It's just at 37 to 1, I decided to go with him there. Jason Day was familiar here at 40. He's won this a couple of times already, but he has that really kind of bad tee time set up. And so I decided to lay off of him because of that tee time, even though I think 40 to 1 is very reasonable. And then rounding it out here with Billy Horschel at 60 to 1. I know he's probably 50 to 60 depending on where you look. I like the spot here with Billy. He's been playing a lot better. He's a lot more comfortable than he was over the last couple of seasons, and his game is really strong. And then he's statistically, he's looked extremely good. Just hasn't been able to roll the ball into the hole, especially from close range. So that's obviously not ideal. But if he can get it together within 10 to 15 feet on the green, he's going to give himself a lot of opportunities. So I like Billy this week as well.
All right, Tony, while you said that, I went ahead and lit some money on fire. So I just want to kind of put it out there. I was looking at the Majors won in 2021, and I decided Colin Morikawa at 2,000 to 1 to win a Grand Slam this year was worth $5 to me. So that being said, if somehow he wins the Grand Slam, I will take all 3 of you to play Pebble Beach.
Wow, he's got to win all.
He's got to win all 4.
At 20-1?
2,000 to 1.
Oh, 2001. I'm sorry. So I think it's plus 2,000. I apologize. Okay. Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah. Done. We're in.
You
Yeah,
heard it first here, fans.
Yes.
We're going to Pebble Beach.
Yeah. Come on, Colin. He plays right down the street over here. I feel like I've seen him at like the Cafe Rio over there.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
I don't know. I'm just making that up. There's a Cafe Rio.
Maybe I saw him at the course on one of my hikes over by that area. So
I follow him on Instagram, and he's got like 3 or 4 Cafe Rio pictures. So I just assume I might see him. All right, so let's move into those long shots. Token, I'll go back to you here. Find me a long shot or 2 or 3 or any.
I have 2 that I already bet. One is Norn. I think I think if he is able to get up and down this week in tough situations and gain shots against the field in that area, I think he'll have a reasonable shot of being close to contention. And then another one, just because I took him last week, and the last time I took a futures guy, didn't take him the next week, he ended up winning, and that was not a few weeks ago. So I'm going to go with Streelman at 150 to 1 on this one, because I had him last week. I think this week he'll do a lot better than what he ended up last week. So, and be able to get some putts in that he clearly missed opportunities before missing the cut last week. And then one tip of the cap to Maverick McNeely at 100 to 1. I think this course fits him pretty decent.
We going to go to the club at Sunrise if you win one of those?
That might be
Streelman comes in, possibly, yeah.
That's the worst golf course in America. 100%.
All right, it's in good shape and the price is right. Come on, don't give the club at Sunrise a break.
No, I will not.
The worst course in America. Wow, that's bold.
I haven't played a lot, but I can feel confident in saying that.
Okay, that's fair.
You must slice
through the thing.
You must slice the ball a lot there, Aaron.
I don't even. I mean, the problem is, hell, if you don't hit the left side of the fairway, even the middle of the fairway slants down to the pitch.
Oh, I hate courses like that. I haven't played this one, but I despise things like that. So
for those who don't know, there's a drainage ditch that goes all down the middle of the course, and it's out and in. So basically, you play the front 9 out and the back 9 in, one side on one side. So anytime you hit it right, and everything slopes right towards the
it's so
drain. Goes down the shitter.
$20.
I play a draw, so I'm fine. Yeah, I pretty much eliminate the right side mostly.
Fair enough. All right, well, find me a long shot so you can take me to Sunrise.
Okay. I don't have any long shots. I do want to add, though, Tony, when you said Brooks Koepka split from his, and I was just happy you didn't say his hot-ass girlfriend, because I like her. She's nice on the eyes. So Claude Herman's fine to go. Just don't get rid of his hot-ass girlfriend.
I agree.
But, yeah.
No
long shots here. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure I've seen her around. I probably tried and failed tremendously.
Cafe Rio.
Cafe Rio. Nice.
Maybe she'll be your cart girl.
That's where the PGA Tour hussies hang around, huh?
Yes, Cafe Rio. That's
and they go up to Voodoo after.
That is the spot.
That's great stuff.
All right, Tony, where's JB Holmes?
I got one. I have one this week. It's unfortunate because a lot of the top end guys are playing the North Course early on Friday, and I do think that could be a serious deal. A couple of those guys, at least 2, 3, maybe even 4, are going to play themselves out of this tournament because they'll shoot like an even par round on that morning, and they will play themselves out of this tournament. I just don't know who that's going to be. I just know almost all the top players are fit in that spot. But I did find one that I like that I think has a fit here, and that's Mackenzie Hughes. The Royal Canadian, who has actually grown up on a course with POA greens. Again, that took a while to find, I'll admit that. But there's a lot of POA up in the northeastern part of Canada, not just the northeast of the United States, and or I guess the southeast of Canada, excuse me, but at least in Canada. And so he's familiar here too. He's talked about that. I found that in an interview. He did 3 years ago, his first time playing the Farmers. Talked about how this course is a little bit familiar to him in that sense. Again, I like what he's done. I really like his really strong long iron play. He's a guy that's 5th in proximity and spots from 200 to 250 with an iron in his hand over the last year. So, hopefully get something done there. That's 125 to 1 pretty much across the board anywhere you look, which is kind of nice. So that'll be my one guy at 125. And I don't know. I know we've kind of run the gamut here of golf courses, but if I win that one, then maybe we'll find another spot to go to with Cafe Rio lunch, of course, afterwards.
Sounds like a Cascada trip right there.
There you go.
All right, so like I said, I torched a little money on Morikawa there, maybe our Pebble Beach trip in the midst there. But I'm looking at some of these guys. Is there anybody legitimately, and if you throw out a name, I can always tell you the value here, but any guy legitimately other than Dustin Johnson, can we see a Grand Slam this year, or is that just really not in the cards?
It's so hard. And it's just one of those things where everybody's so good, especially since I think pre-Tiger era, it could have happened. And I'm surprised it didn't happen in a calendar year. But now that Tigers came along and everybody that grew up watching Tiger is this good now because of Tiger, I think it's just too deep. And you'll just see the ebbs and flows of the PGA Tour with guys like Rory or DJ or Spieth, guys like that. They go out and fire off a few majors, but it's just not something that happens too often. And one more thing I'd like to add to that, I know everybody's on DeChambeau. I really like to fade him this year. I think it's going to take him a second to build into this body, and I think he'll probably fade for a year and then come out strong again in a couple of years once he builds into his new robot body of his.
Well, you can get DeChambeau no majors at minus 275 there.
I love it.
But if he wins a Grand Slam, it's 300 to 1.
But
let's go ahead and bet how stupid I am and how smart I am. And maybe one of those will fit.
No, I mean, I'm with. I think John said it best. It's too difficult. All it takes is really one bad round and a half or so, and you play yourself out of one of these majors, and whether it's DJ or anybody else, it's too difficult to even top five. If you had a bet of can you top five all four majors, I think that would be extremely difficult to do. I know that I think Fowler did it 1 year, whatever, 4 or 5 years ago, but if you look even at that stat, that's extremely rare, even during the Nicklaus times. You just have a bad round, in a tournament, and it's tough to come back from, at least not only to win, but sometimes to even get in the top 10. So I just think, it's too unlikely. I mean, obviously, it's something at 2,000 and whatever you want to throw a few dollars on that. Certainly the entertainment value is great, especially that sweat right away at the Masters. But for me, that's it's not in the cards.
The great thing would be for him to win the Masters. Just a fighting chance.
Yourself a chance, for sure.
But you're telling me there is a chance.
Yep.
All right,
you can find yourself a fade in the PGA Championship. I don't know what they're playing this year, but
if you had the front three, wow.
You buy yourself some sort of hedge or something like that. You have to bet 20 guys on Sunday or something like
that.
Yeah. How would you even fade that on the fourth major?
Hard to do.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's hard. It's very hard to hedge in golf. Yes.
Yeah, you can't do it.
All right, let's move into the matchups here, Tony or Token. What do you got?
I've got 4 this week. So we got Molinari over Gary Woodland at plus 105. I thought there was excellent value in that one. I thought Molinari would be pretty close to almost a pick 'em in that one. So at plus money, I definitely love that. Moving on to one of Tony's favorite golfers this week to have a good tournament, and that's Matt Wolff over Victor Hovland at plus 110. I'm surprised this one's not completely reversed, and Wolff would be like minus 120.
It's an interesting line. Yeah. It's across the board. I mean, I see there's a 125 like offshore, but everyone's like 130 with that one. It's the same everywhere. I'm a little surprised it's not a little bit closer. I like Hovland's kind of spot here too. I don't hate him, but I don't think you should be giving that much juice to Matty Wolff on a course that's long and difficult. It just doesn't seem to be like a good thing to do. I'm with you.
Exactly.
All the way.
Yeah. And then moving on to another good value one is Emiliano Grillo over Carlos Ortiz at even. I really love that one. That one's probably my value pick of the week at even money. It just surprised me how good value some of these lines are. And then moving on to the last one, bread and butter of this one is Horschel over Ryan Palmer at -110.
Nice.
All right, Johnny, what do you got there?
I just got a couple this week. I'm riding Hovland, with the boys here. I saw he hasn't missed a cut since March 5th at the Arnold Palmer.
That's nuts.
For a new guy coming on tour, especially with all the hype, I think he finished T2 in the U.S. Amateur. Or not T2? He finished second in the U.S. Amateur or did he win the U.S. Amateur?
Hovland did. I don't know who
he did. He did win the U.S. Amateur, I think he did. I think he won at like Pebble or something like that. Because I remember watching him hit out of the rocks one day. However, anybody that gets the top 2 in the U.S. Amateur, just watch out for him. Anytime the next year, just keep an eye on them. If they get a couple top 25s coming on off the bat, and it just seems like he's been so consistent and so cool. He finally broke through with the win at Mayakoba, and it's just one of those things where it's also a fade. He's playing Matsuyama and he's plus 100, so he's actually a dog in that match. And Matsuyama has just sort of become laissez-faire. Where if Hovland's going to be in there on the weekend, you could expect some fireworks where Matsuyama, it just seems like he's sort of cooled off a little bit. The other one I have is Adam Scott against Jason Day. It's more the fade against Jason Day. He's missed. He's withdrew or missed a cut in the last 4 out of 9 events. He hasn't played since mid-November. So it's just sort of a wild card with Jason Day. And same thing with the fade with Matsuyama. It seems like he's just sort of become laissez-faire. Adam Scott hasn't been playing great, but like I said, it's the fade on Day. And, the only time he played here, he finished second in 2019. So the only time he's played here, he finished well. So we'll see what happens. But he's also even money against Jason Day. So you got Hovland against Matsuyama at even money, and you got Scott against Day at even money.
Sense.
Plus, hey, with guys like that, you can watch them play on TV coverage. That's great for betting because those guys will actually show play every once in a while. Where if you're betting, Denny McCarthy or Mackenzie Hughes, they never get any action on TV. So there you go.
That's a fair point. At least you want to watch your sweat.
Yeah, exactly. We're all degenerates here, aren't we?
That is very, very.
Could always watch the play-by-play on PJ.
Yeah,
that's my style. That's what I'm used to doing.
I love that play-by-play on PGA Tour. It is
there you
great,
go.
isn't it? It's just so funny.
Hits it right into the native area.
Yeah,
native area is the worst. Native area is the worst. It's true.
No, but it goes
talking about loosening some COVID restriction. Maybe we'll just drive down there. Maybe they'll be done by Thursday.
Bring the air horns and toot them.
From a good friend of mine that worked side by side with me at the last casino I worked at, the sportsbook guy. He grew up in La Jolla, and he said they used to just get an 18-pack of beer, walk up the beach, and sneak it up on the course during the rounds. They said they would never get caught, and I was like, that is a local. It's a good tip from a local right there, if you really want to go down there. Not me. I'm all about paying my dues to the PGA Tour, right?
You take them how you get them. All right.
Yeah.
Tony, what do you got here, bro?
I got a few. I've kind of loaded up pretty heavy on these few. It's one of those, we're not going to be a high volume week of the mattress, but I think my favorite one is something that, Token just espoused, and I couldn't agree more. I also have Billy Horschel over Ryan Palmer at -110. I think this is a great spot. Again, I've already talked about how much I like Horschel, but they're in the same kind of grouping of tee times, and Ryan Palmer has not fared very well on the North Course throughout his tenure. He's actually done okay in the tournament throughout his history, but he has not scored very low, which is hence why he's probably never even made a run at winning this thing before. And to play in some tough conditions on Friday, I think there's a decent chance that Palmer misses the cut here. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Horschel as well, just with Token at -110. I also doubled up on this one. We have Louis Oosthuizen over Palmer as well. That's +112 over at Circa Sports here in Las Vegas. And then finally, a little bit of a long shot, but again, I'm not trying to be anti-Tony Finau. I know he's extremely consistent. and it's tough to bet against a guy that doesn't really miss cuts. But Matthew Wolff at plus 170 over Tony Finau is too difficult to pass up. Wolfie can miss the cut just as easily as getting in the top 10 in this tournament. I readily admit that, but I'll take that at a plus 170 spot because, again, Tony Finau's record not great here. Doesn't mean that he can't play well, certainly not, but I certainly like Wolff at plus 170.
I'll tell you what, as a guy that has Wolff in a future this week, has Finau in a future, I love that. Plus 170, that's just good value. I could bet both those spots right there, essentially, and could be successful. So,
agreed.
Yeah, just one for me. I think I'm going to fade Siwoo after the victory here this week.
Okay. I thought about that one too. Yeah, that's intriguing as well. Yeah.
I'm going to take our boy Will Zalatoris here.
Zalatoris?
Yeah.
I saw that one too. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So, all right, so let's
the post-win fade.
Yes.
Win fades. Yep, stock win fades.
Post-win fade. It's great. Yeah.
Let's round out the show here with some daily fantasy sports from Token Tony, as we do every show.
Yep.
So, Token, let's win some money. Let's become thousandaires or better. What do you got?
Yeah, this was a tough one for my top pick on this one, and it came down to two golfers, in my opinion, and one was Finau and one was Schauffele, and I decided to go with Finau in this spot at 10,700. Moving on to next, we got Matt Wolff. I like him all around, like him in the matchups for 9,100. Definitely like him for fantasy golf. Louis Oosthuizen for 8,000. Got to have the South African. We got the winner this week, Molinari, for 7,800. And then rounding on two of the basement dwellers, we got Norton for 7,400 and then Streelman for 6,900, leaving 100 on the table only.
Even a crisp hundo. Love the basement dwellers.
They're my favorite. That's my favorite part.
I think they're gonna be BDs after this. We're gonna really pump this basement dweller situation up.
All right, so as we round it out here, I have to say I'm excited. After we record this podcast, I am going to watch the premiere of Pat Perez versus the 4-play scramble. So at 230 or 225 to 1, I threw $5 on him as well. So.
Wow, nice.
In podcast degenning right there.
That's it.
Cool.
I like that. Yes. I wonder how many bets we make on average during the podcast, because I have made a few in before.
I have quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure that we weren't the only ones. Good.
There should be
down right.
Buffering.
Count it
All right,
down.
guys. I think what we should do is we should make bets during the podcast, because this is something new to me, and I'll start doing it, and then we can compare our records during the podcast, outside of the podcast, and really figure out some good data there, and figure out if we should or shouldn't keep doing it. We're going to continue doing it, of course.
Oh yeah.
There is no shouldn't. I will tell you this: the only bet I really care about right now in my life, there's two bets: the Bucks Super Bowl bet and that Colin Morikawa major bet. I can tell you that.
Did you bet? You have it straight up, or you have a future on the Bucks?
I just bet the game right after the line came out.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Cool.
No, actually, ironically, remember I told you I had a future on the Packers.
I knew I couldn't remember which team. I remember you saying you had one, but I just couldn't remember which team. It was the Packers.
Yeah, I had futures on the Packers. Obviously, I forgot about the whole Aaron Rodgers choking in the NFC Championship game factor. So it's all good. Tampa Bay's in it. We're good. So that being said, let's go. It's Farmers Insurance Week. We hope you enjoyed the tournament. Hopefully, you can tail us. The bets will come through. If you fade us, hopefully we win and not you. Haha. All right, for Token Tony, for Tony Johnson, for John Parr, I am Aaron. We appreciate you guys listening. Good luck on your bets. Good luck. Enjoy the tournament. We'll catch you on the next one.